everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Phenomenal Women of 2024. This episode will be much heavier than the others. Today, we posthumously honor our Phenomenal Woman of 2024 in the Business Entrepreneurship category. We hope this episode reminds you that a life lived with passion and purpose can leave an unforgettable mark, no matter how brief. She truly exemplified what it means to live fully and leave a lasting impact. May she rest in peace. Hi, Richard.
Hello, Michaela.
Really nice to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Maybe not under these circumstances, but still great to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing as well as I can, all things considered. Yeah.
And how has the season been treating you so far?
Well, it's been a little bit difficult to get into the festive mood. Of course, Nadine is the person who always brought a lot of joy to the home during this time. She would start her preparations 2 weeks in advance of the earliest person that you can possibly think of.
Oh, geez.
So halfway of November.
Yeah, I was going to say, gotta be November then.
Halfway of November, she'd start purchasing the new blinds and the new rugs and everything. So it's a little bit difficult this year, but I'm doing okay.
You're making the best of it.
Trying my best.
All right, so you mentioned Nadine. So please introduce yourself to our viewers and share your connection to Nadine Gilbert Rambaran, our Phenomenal Woman of 2024 in the Business Entrepreneurship category.
Thank you. Really is a pleasure, of course, always to be affiliated, associated, and pronounced on anything in relation to Nadine. Nadine is my best friend, and forgive me if I speak in present tense.
No, understood.
Present continuous tense, because for me, she continues to live on in my mind, my memory, and that's how I speak about her. So she's my best friend, first, foremost, and above everything else. It's my wife, mother of my child, business partner, gym partner, fellow council member at the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and former schoolmates, former global shapers, alumni, volunteers, etc. And I'm sure there are a few more that I'm forgetting, but you get the gist.
Your love.
The love of my life, and quite intertwined in our connection in a multi-dimensional way.
Tell us about when you first met Nadine and what was your first impression of her?
So I first met Nadine. Nadine and I had two first meetings, if you can call it that. The very first meeting that we had was on the corridor in Queen's College. She was a sixth form student. I was a couple years younger than her because she's about 2 years older than I am. But we met on the corridor for Queen's College, and I always thought that she was very beautiful, of course.
Of course.
That goes without saying.
Yes.
But very talented too. From the time I knew Nadine, she was always participating in something. And as for a matter of fact, the year that I met her, when she was in QC, she was participating in the GTT jingle competition.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and she was a semi-finalist, I believe it was. She made it all the way to the semi-final round.
Awesome.
But that was our first meeting. There are a number of fond memories of her from Queen's College. I'm actually good friends with a number of her friends too from then, but we were not as close perhaps as myself and her friends were at the time. And then we met once again much later on, about 7 years on, in Global Shapers Georgetown Hub, which is an arm of the World Economic Forum that operates in Guyana that focuses on volunteer work. And my very first impression of her.
6 years later.
6 years later, still just as beautiful. Still talented. She always has some sort of unique thing that someone wants to know. My first impression, as you can tell, was it had a profound impact on me, meeting her and then meeting her once again. But I was really captivated, I guess, after the first month or 2 months of knowing her, by the depth of her character, and the strength which she embodied as a young person, as a young professional, and how focused she was. It was extremely impressive to me, and something which obviously captivated my attention and continues to captivate me until today.
There's a light in your eyes when you speak about her.
Always.
And when you say certain things, you can see it. You can see it in the eyes, and the eyes are the windows to one's soul.
Thank you.
She accomplished a lot in a short time.
A lot.
But what do you think she would say is her greatest accomplishment?
Definitely and undoubtedly being a mother. Even though that perhaps might have been the shortest of her accomplishments, quote unquote, from the time she gave birth to the time of the end of her life, I'd say that one was the greatest, proudest, and most profound on her life. The second, perhaps, because of course nothing will go over and above that, but the second, perhaps, being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Being an entrepreneur.
And that's why she's being honored today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which I'm so happy for. Thank you. Thank you, Michaela.
Yes. No, thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for doing this.
It was a passion of hers from the very beginning, entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship too, not just for the sake of entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship for development of society, but development of self, entrepreneurship to be able to give back to others, and entrepreneurship more broadly for lifting people out of poverty. Well, she really saw entrepreneurship as a multidimensional path for being able to...
I've never really heard it described that way. Yeah. So that was a fantastic description.
That is her way of describing it. She talk quite often about, the role that entrepreneurs play in society, the role that entrepreneurs played at improving welfare for individuals. And interestingly enough, one of the things I forgot to mention at the beginning, we were colleagues at the University of Guyana too as lecturers.
Wow.
She lectured in the Faculty of Business there, and one of the courses that she lectured was Sociology of Entrepreneurship.
Wow.
So she understood entrepreneurship at a very deep level and the impact that it had on society.
She was a multifaceted individual.
Absolutely, yes.
Let's talk about her diagnosis.
Yeah.
When did she first learn about her cancer diagnosis, and how did she react? How did you react?
So during I'd say the first quarter of 2018, there were a number of physical signs, albeit very small, that pointed towards it. Apparently, the symptoms were happening to her before the first quarter of 2018, but they were not happening all at once. So they were happening pretty isolated, and so she then, because of the agglomeration of symptoms at the same time, I encouraged her that we should ensure that we go to the hospital, ensure that we have this thoroughly checked out. So the process of diagnosis from the time that we suspected up until the time of confirmation was one that lasted, I'd say, perhaps about 8-9 months. We went through a series of tests, medical procedures, etc., so as to be able to understand. But specifically her reaction to the diagnosis, Nadine was and, well, I don't know if I can say is, but Nadine has always been a fighter, nothing but a fighter. So in her mind, and in my mind too, we approached with a perspective that this is just a hurdle in the broader scheme of things that we will be able to get over. For a period of time we did, but of course that was always, I would say, our overarching philosophy on our approach to the illness. So we were not as phased, I guess, because we knew something was wrong.
Right.
But we kept the spirit of positivity, of hopefulness, a spirit of overcoming, and a spirit of we can conquer anything together.
Right. What do you think she would say to anyone fighting cancer or battling a terminal illness? What do you think her message to them would be?
So I think really you'd have to split it out into two, because Nadine always wanted people to understand that having cancer was not a death sentence. So she ideally, I think, would want to split that out into two. The folks who have cancer, she had something that she'd always say. It's a very simple phrase and it's very common. Never give up. Just never give up, because you never know what the possibilities are. Never give up. And she was big on faith. So never give up and just keep praying. That's her approach. That was her approach to things. And then folks with the terminal illness, that one is a little bit more difficult, but I think it circulates somewhere around finding peace, finding inner peace, knowing what brings you inner peace. It would be somewhere thereabouts, because when we realized that this could have been terminal, that was what a lot of her daily rituals circulated around. Finding peace, making peace, having inner peace, being able to sit with herself spiritually. That I would say is what she would say to persons who are terminally ill. But she'd certainly want to separate out the two.
So from excelling in law to winning the mother and daughter pageant, Nadine achieved incredible milestones.
Yes.
What motivated her to pursue such diverse interests and excel at all of it?
I think it's because of her attitude towards everything that she was involved in. So Nadine had a perspective on things that she'll not get involved in something unless she is going to be able to give her all to it. It didn't matter if it was her being the best at it, but once she knew that she was giving her best to it, that is what mattered for her. And that was the paramount point. If she knew that she did not have any bandwidth to onboard a new activity, to take on a new client, to model on some runway, to launch a new business, if she knew that she didn't have the bandwidth, she'd not do it. She would not do it. She would be very...
She gave it her all.
She gave it her all, and she knew how to manage what she was doing.
Correct.
So she was very gung-ho about that. She'd not give things that she knew she could not give her 100% to. She'd not take it on.
Let's talk about also too volunteering and community involvement, also recurring themes in Nadine's life.
Yes.
Ranging from teaching literacy to leading anti-bullying workshops. When I read these things, I'm like, you got to do some more, Michaela. But what motivated her for her passion for giving back? And what do you think is the impact that she left behind?
What motivated her, it seems as if it came intrinsically. Because for as long as I have known her and for as long as she has been, I guess, socially aware as an individual, she's always been giving back. Whether it would be in the church, she was in sixth form at QC, and she would go teach literacy at the National Library on Saturdays, in which young person who, they just want to hang out. They just want to hang out and spend time with their friends. She'd go do that. Then she of course she'd do it in an ad hoc way at first, and then she told me she was navigating the landscape in Guyana to see where she would find her right fit. Because one of her, I guess, philosophical approaches, and this is perhaps the third time I'm saying this, but she was very much deep in the way that she thought about what she was doing. But one of her philosophical approaches with things is that you shouldn't give necessarily for the public spectacle of giving. You give and you give back and you support, but it's done in a quiet way. And I think she really found her place and the style of that with Global Shapers, which in that she led a number of initiatives. She led first, foremost, and her own brainchild, something called Project Kind, a project called Project Kind.
What's Project Kind about?
Project Kind is the anti-bullying campaign that you'd hear about. And they'd go to, well, we would all go to these schools, a variety of schools. I think we covered over 15 schools in the time.
So what did Project Kind teach you?
Essentially, it talked about bullying. It talked about tolerance. It talked about understanding different walks of life, and understanding that we're not all from the same background, whether culturally, ethnically, etc. And essentially that we must be more tolerant and loving. And of course, the key word, be kind.
No, she's gonna say.
She actually,
It's a beautiful name, Project Kind.
yes.
Yeah.
She actually had that as her Facebook description at one time, where they say, write something about yourself, whatever. She literally put it, be kind.
Yeah. Be kind to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the name of her project. But she led a number of other initiatives there too. The blood drive, what is called an ultimate communications workshop, a big literacy program in Sophia for a number of the students. She helped to redo the Sophia library for the young kids, and just a whole lot of work that she did in Global Shapers, which saw her eventually rise to being the curator of the hub, the Georgetown hub.
Amazing.
Which is essentially the leader of the hub. And she represented Guyana in Geneva.
Geneva, yes.
Where she, of course, interacted with a number of her peers from at the World Economic Forum.
So let's talk about Ascension Business Services and Stylebox, both launched during the pandemic. What motivated her to do that?
That's very gutsy, yeah?
Yes.
Very gutsy.
I mean, not just one. It's what's gutsy. It's not just one, but two businesses.
Yeah.
Two things during the pandemic.
It really was her passion. Both of them. She actually had a number of business ideas, Michaela. Stylebox and Ascension Business Services were the first two that came to fruition. She looked at me. She saw the skill set that I had, and she said, okay, so listen what you'll do. This is Ascension Business Services. I'll offer corporate legal, and we'll focus on, because she was a corporate legal attorney, a corporate attorney rather, specializing corporate and commercial. And she said, I'll do corporate legal. I'll look at the ways that I can support the Guyanese business community in their legal needs. And of course, by that time, she was she had just finished an MBA, which, by the way, she completed her MBA whilst she was doing chemotherapy, which was another very impressive thing.
Wow.
And then on Stylebox, that was really a passion of hers. She was very much into fashion. She had a page called Runway Express Fashion, REF. She'd always call it Ref at home. She had Ref, Runway Express Fashion, which the intention was to eventually translate that into a boutique. So she actually would have Ascension Business Services, which she brought me on board with. And I was saying, she actually said, okay, you have your skill set. I'll do the corporate legal, and listen what you will do. You will offer business
So she was
consulting.
your boss.
Yeah, she actually was.
Yeah.
She was the managing partner.
Right.
I that's what I say. I am just a mere technical staff here. That's what I told our colleagues. And she called it a very interesting thing. She said, Richard, it'll be the perfect marriage of services, just like you and I.
Oh, I love
So
that.
she said it'll be the perfect marriage of services.
And it was the perfect marriage of services.
For the Guyanese business community. And they'll love it. They'll love it. It's innovative. Nothing like this exists. And we'll hit it. And she was so passionate about it. In Stylebox, that was an embodiment of her fashion and creativity. That actually did very well. I could remember one Christmas She was like, well, on my side of the business in Ascension, I haven't gotten clients, but look at this. And she's showing me all the orders that she got for Style Box. It was so
Fantastic.
incredibly impressive.
Fantastic.
And I'll tell you, what was even more impressive, and it'll always stay with me, I guess, for as long as I live. I was her husband. She took a loan from me. And the very first avenue that she had, where she accumulated the funds, she actually counted out the capital that I gave her, and she came to me and she gave me back. She literally gave me back the funds, and I said, no, I don't want it back. We have it. She said, no, this is the principle.
A deal is a deal.
I took a loan from you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm going to repay you. And I said, okay, here it is.
Yeah.
And so I collected the money, but I transferred it all back to her. And then she's like, what? You did that? Okay, guess what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to buy some curtains for the house. I'm going to buy some new. And she went out and bought all these curtains and rugs and what have you for the whole. Yeah.
Just in time for Christmas season. 2 weeks before everybody.
2 weeks before everybody started.
So from representing for the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, Global Shapers, Project Kind, Style Box, Ascension Business Services, I mean, so many things that we've discussed already. This may sound like a silly question, but do you think she was proud of all these accomplishments?
Yes, undoubtedly. But her demonstration of pride was much different than the average individual. She wouldn't be cocky or have an air about herself for the accomplishments, because for her, sustainability and longevity of the ideas too were that was when it was really rooted in. That's when she really saw it, that it would be an accomplishment. She wanted to see her passions live on. She wanted to see the enterprises grow and flourish into what she believed they could be. That's why throughout all adversity, I mean, Ascension Business Services early next year is going to be 5 years old.
Already?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
She'd be very happy to know that. So she really wanted them to live on, and she wanted to ensure that the accomplishment was in the sustainability and the longevity of the businesses. But
That's a fantastic message. Yeah. So despite her illness, you can touch on this. So despite her illness, Nadine was determined to go through with her pregnancy. Can you share what motherhood meant to her, especially given the challenges that she faced?
Yeah, so there was always a risk of her having a relapse, or if she had become pregnant. We started to notice some signs of a relapse just about the time that she got pregnant. And she was actually faced with a choice at one time. I never told too many people this, but I'll say it now. She said, I'm going to go through with this. I am going to become a mother. And whatever it is that happens and whatever I have to deal with after, I will deal with it. That was how much she wanted to go through with this. So she actually had the option to end the pregnancy and address whatever was going on with her, which we weren't sure as yet. But after a while, we figured out that this is an actual relapse that's happening here.
So she relapsed after she got pregnant? Or did the relapse?
Firm diagnosis of when she relapsed came much later into her pregnancy, but there were signs just before and around the time that she got pregnant that she may be relapsing. But one of the things I think is not given enough attention to cancer patients or persons who have gone through treatment is how perhaps how traumatic it all is on them.
Yeah.
They really don't want anything to do with a doctor, a hospital. They just don't want to see that again. Some people have it so bad, it's so traumatic on them. And I think that was one of the things that happened to her. She just really was so traumatized by the entire first round of everything, the first go around with everything, that that was her perspective. I will go through with this. I'm not terminating, I'm not ending this. and I will be a mother. She literally said to me once, if it kills me, it kills me. I am going to be a mother.
Yeah. So can you tell us about her excitement, how she felt
Oh,
when she
boy.
learned
Oh,
that she
boy.
was going to become a mother?
Oh my goodness, Michaela, the excitement was unprecedented. I don't think I've ever seen another human being so excited in
Oh,
my
I love
life.
this for you guys.
And I'll tell you how excited. You know, people wait until they know the gender to start buying stuff.
Yes.
My girl looked up all of the neutral colors
Yes.
that are possible and ordered
Yellows,
everything
creams, whites.
in neutral colors. I said,
Yeah.
and so for the first 3 months of our daughter's life, she literally had nothing pink.
Yes.
Everything was just neutral colors.
Yeah.
She ordered every single thing. What she didn't order online, she looked at where every time we went to one of her favorite places, Giftland, that we were shopping, she'd pick up stuff. We had an entire room that was filled with things. She actually painted, when we found out, she painted the room pink. She wrote about it in a journal. I have it. I never saw them until after she passed, when I was packing.
Right.
And it literally was about 4 pages handwritten by her on how excited she was
Oh my
for
goodness.
motherhood. It was incredible. I've never seen somebody so elated.
And Amalia, she's beautiful.
Oh,
I think she's like the perfect mix of the two of you.
Thank you. She is, but I guess something happens in my brain that causes me to see a lot of Nadine physically.
No, I do.
in
I
her.
definitely
Yeah.
do. Yes, for sure. But how do you see her legacy living on through Amalia? Amalia Joy.
Oh, that one is a little bit. So Amalia is just about. She's gonna be 2 in January, but she demonstrates so many characteristics of her mother
Already.
and it's things I'd never imagined that a genetic predisposition to behavior was so strong until I had.
Oh, it is. Yes. I'm witnessing that for myself right now.
Just as eager,
Mhm.
just as intelligent, just as beautiful, just as knowing how to manipulate me, just as knowing how to get their way
Yes.
with me.
Manipulation is definitely part of it. Yes.
Just almost every single thing that you can see in Nadine, that was standout characteristics and traits you can see in Amalia, including the singing voice.
Oh, I love this.
I
So
got
she
that.
sings already.
She sings and
Oh, that must be so beautiful
with,
to watch.
with Rose at the learning nest. See, was no
Yes.
told me she sings so loudly in class it echoes. Sometimes I can't figure out what she's singing, but she's singing.
Looking back at everything Nadine went through, what do you think she would want Amalia to know about her journey and the life that she lived? What do you think she would say to her? Because one day, hopefully, Amalia will watch this.
We spoke about this quite a few times. She wanted to, more than anything else, ensure that she lived her passion, that she lived what she wanted, and she did not be boxed in or chained to the stereotypical parameters of success.
Mm-hmm.
And it may seem like a complex answer for a child that is just a child, but Nadine, in her heart of hearts, was always a creative.
Mm-hmm.
More than anything else, she really was a creative, and she expressed her creativity in her entrepreneurship too. And she and I can distinctly remember us having a conversation where, because I'm so along the academic track, or I'm seen so much in the public light to be along the academic track, because of course I do have passions too.
Yes, of course.
That we had this conversation around what I would want her to be, what I would want Amalia to be, or if I would support her. If she wants to be a singer, a painter, a dancer, I said, absolutely. And when I said that, I saw literal tears come to her eyes. She said, you would? I said, of course, Nadine.
You just want your child to be happy
I said,
after
I
all,
just
right?
want her to be happy, and I just want her to be able to do something that is fulfilling for her. She was like, wow.
Probably made her love you more.
And that's the next line I'm going to tell you. She was like, you know how much I love you.
Oh,
I love you
see?
even more now.
See, I knew
Because
it. I know the way. I know it's a way to the woman's heart.
Because she could not believe that I, would support her because
Because you're a true academic,
well,
right?
yeah, so
you would expect, but I mean, I see that, and I believe that about you too.
yeah,
And as a parent, you just really just want your child to be happy.
absolutely.
So we're gonna move on to our final section of Phenomenal Women of 2024 Business Entrepreneurship category. Nadine Gilbert Rambaran. We're gonna call this section Phenomenally Nadine.
Okay.
We're going to ask you to answer some of these questions
Sure.
from her perspective, and then one or two is about your perspective.
Okay.
All right, so the first question, what was your favorite thing about Nadine?
Her light, love, and energy that she had.
I knew you'd answer this one right away.
Yeah.
So look at your face.
Oh, it was incredible.
What will you share with your daughter about Nadine?
Oh boy, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Nadine, at first, Nadine, because we had some of these discussions, at first, she didn't want me to share about the illness with her. She wanted her to be devoid of that. But as it came down to the very last bit, she's like, I want her to know how much I tried my best to live for her.
Absolutely amazing. And how do you think she would feel about being honored as one of this year's Phenomenal Women?
Oh boy, she would be super excited.
I'm so happy to hear that, by the way. That makes me feel so honored and so proud.
And she really liked you, Michaela. She really liked you.
I really liked her too.
She loved listening to you on the radio. She thought that you were very talented with what you did. And to know that you would sit and do it with her and for her. Incredible. And that's why when we had the discussions and so on, I of course acquiesced. This is the first time I'm speaking in the public domain about her.
I'm so appreciative of that. You have no idea how I feel about that.
I know she would be incredibly honored for it, especially given everything that she would have gone through, everything that she put her heart, soul, every single fiber of her being into her business and into her entrepreneurial skills and talents, and to know that she's recognized for it in some way, shape, or form, and in this particular shape, a manner that will live on forever, she'll be exceedingly happy.
I'm so happy and honored to hear that. And if she were alive, how would you guys celebrate this moment, this achievement, I guess? Netflix?
Oh boy, that one. We had so many ways. I mean, we would do something to mark the occasion. We'd perhaps go to dinner. If she was here, I would be right over there somewhere sitting, of course.
Supporting her, of course.
Definitely. And then when we were going to dinner, she'd ask me, so you think I answered the questions good? What do you think? That's how she was.
Yeah.
We'd perhaps go to dinner, but the reason why it kind of it stumped me to answer is because we lived every single day like if it was a celebration. We thoroughly enjoyed
Beautiful answer.
Every day in our lives. Okay, like I look back through my phone. I go, Google Photos has a strange way of ensuring everything is there.
Yes.
Even things that you forgot about. And I realized that during like 2021, 2022, and so on, we would just be at home, sing karaoke to each other. It was just amazing, every day we lived like a celebration. She'd be cooking and I would just play some random song and she'd start dancing while she's cutting up the stuff or whatever the case is. Every day for us was just, celebratory. And yeah.
I think more people need to live that message, that knowing that it is fleeting. Life is fleeting after all.
Absolutely.
We need to live it up, as cliche as that sounds. And what's one thing she taught you that she'll carry forever?
So I'd say she really allowed me to continue to be myself, yes, but she permitted me by the environment she created to become a much more emotionally intelligent person, a much more emotionally mature person.
Right.
And so I tell people that without Nadine, there's no me. There's no me that you see today. There's no
It's Richard 2.0.
whatever excellence that
Yeah.
you see me demonstrate. It's not because of me only, but a large part of it has to do with her.
Wow.
A very large part of it has to do with
Very eloquently said, Richard.
Thank you.
All right, finally, Richard, one last question.
Go ahead.
For this year's Phenomenal Woman of 2024 in the Business Entrepreneurship category, how do you think Nadine would want to be remembered?
Strong, determined, energetic, eager to learn, God-fearing, and I think over and above all, someone who lived their truth, someone who lived their version of how they think life should be lived. Yeah.
Well said. So eloquent. I don't know what else to say. I'm honored. I'm so appreciative that you took the time to share this beautiful journey with us. A short life, but a life that was worth living. And now you have a beautiful product of such a life, Amalia Joy.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you, Mickey.
I'm blown away by this, and I think everyone watching today will be as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nadine Gilbert Ramran, our Phenomenal Woman of 2024 in the Business Entrepreneurship category.
Very well deserving, if I could say so.
Thank you so much.
I am an industrial hygienist at ExxonMobil Guyana. I focus on employee health and well-being and develop programs that protect my colleagues. I am one of 1,400 women employed in Guyana's oil and gas industry.
As a local content analyst at ExxonMobil Guyana, I work directly with the local business community. I focus on the numbers, helping Guyana's economy and people benefit from oil and gas. This is what's possible.
Learn more about Rochelle and Ashley's stories and about ExxonMobil's commitment to empowering women in the workplace at www.exxonmobil.com/what-is-possible.
Not again. Thank God for Ego Pro.